All right, welcome to the third class of the Bodyweight Strength Training for Everyday Endurance Athletes. My dog, Joy, has joined us, sort of. She's just kind of wandering around my studio garage trying to find any random scraps of food. So we're going to start, as we always do, with our squat warm-ups and moving our arms and our legs and trying to figure out just basically what's going on. The dog is wondering what we are doing. You can always pick up your dog or your cat. Maybe the dog and cat will agree to do things. You can just do a squat, scratch their back, do another squat, and scratch their back so they think you're playing with them, and now she's going to do that. All right, now, last week we did split squats. This week we're going to do an overhead split squat. Step back like we did before, but this time you're going to bring your arms up overhead. And that suddenly puts a whole bunch of extra stress on your torso. So now you're going to come down, same thing, drop your back knee and put the weight on your front heel. So one of the moves that we haven't done yet that we're going to start adding in every week is moving laterally. Because if you think about it, as cyclists and runners, we're always moving forward, and the stabilizer muscles tend to get a little bit weaker. We're going to start kind of on the edge of one side of our mat, and we're going to take a step, and we're going to be bending the leg that we just stepped with down and back. So we're going to sit back with this one leg. This leg is going to stay straight, and we're just going to come down as low as we can, and we're going to pop back up. If you can. Come down, pop back up. Okay, and then we go to the other side, do 8 to 12 on one side, and then come down and do the other side. All right, so I've brought in my bike wash bucket, and we're going to be using this for arguably the most effective but challenging exercise, bodyweight exercise for cycling and running. Bulgarian split squats. So we did the overhead split squats, but this puts all the weight on one leg. So doing these by themselves fully is a lot of challenge. You'll have to figure out where your foot needs to be. So I'm going to start with my left foot on the ground, and I'm going to bring my right foot up on top of the bucket. Okay, you can use a book, you can have a low chair. Don't do anything that's too high, because that makes it much more difficult. Our goal is to get our back knee, just like a split squat, down on the ground. All right, so torso upright, bring your back knee down. Now, you'll end up having the top of your foot flat on the bucket. Come down, drive up with your heel. So come down on your heel and drive up with your heel. Like that's 2, and that was fatiguing. So you will, you may only start coming down this far because of the balance, and that's fine. Okay, you'll figure that out as you go. Your goal is to keep your torso upright, the weight on your front heel, and dropping your back knee. In a last class, we were doing the downward dogs to cobras. This time we're going to do something similar to that, but build in kind of a downward dog into a push-up. And this is where it gets really challenging. All right, so come into a push-up position, and I'm going to have my hands a little bit wider than the mat, and come into a push-up, and then I'm going to push back into a downward dog. I'm going to roll forward into the plank, come into a push-up, roll back to a downward dog. Again, if this is too much, you can be on your knees. It's going to be the same process. Knees, come into push up and push back. This is where things start to get interesting with beasts. We're going to come into our beast pose. Bring your knees up. Now, here comes the fun part. You're going to roll your knees to the right, lift up your right hand. Your knees are still coming up, and now pick up your left foot, carry it forward, and bring your hand behind you. All right? So I'm just keeping my butt down for now, but we're going to roll forward. Now we're going to try that to the other side. Roll, and by the way, this is easier than it looks. I had 70-year-old ladies doing this, and they were having a blast. All right, so roll your knees. Now I'm picking to the left. I'm picking up my left hand. My right leg is coming through. Both feet are now on the ground, and I'm bringing my left hand back onto the floor. Then we'll come into a YTW again. And just to remind you, on your belly, Y, T, and W. And again, we're going to do a full plank with our arms extended, but you can do this also with your knees on the mat into a plank. So you can be here, and that's going to be just fine for this whole thing. In fact, we'll come sideways so you can see what it looks like. Full plank. Okay, get your balance set. Lift up an arm. Just like we did with Beast, then we'll lift up the other arm. The goal is to keep your torso as balanced as you can as you go in the circle. It's a little challenging with your arms. And go from there. Go as many circles as you can. Try going the other direction. With your knees on the ground, you will just do with your hands. You could try with your knees, but you're just going to be picking your hand up, putting it down, bringing it back up. Okay, so that's how you would do the modification for the plank, alternating arms and reaching through. We're going to continue working on that kind of lateral movement. We're going to come into an elbow plank, and again, you can be on your knees if you need to, which is going to be just fine for this exercise. If you want to, bring up your knees, bring up your hips, and all we're going to do is rotate our hips and try to come towards the mat. If you get to the mat, great, but I can't quite get there, and that's all right. You're just rotating and dropping your hips. You probably have to adjust your feet as you do this. Side plank reach through. So last week, we were on our elbows, and I'm just going to start with my top foot forward. And I'm going to come up and bring my hand up. Now, if you want to, you can do this with your hand down in a full one, but it's hard enough doing it this way. The reach through is simply rolling down, reaching so your hand is behind you, and then coming back up. Rolling through, coming back up. All right, do that on both sides, and you'll be feeling it. All right, thanks.